speaking of Eminem, I wanted to ask you with him, since as his career progressed, he got into more doing production.
Mm.
I wanted to know for you, how is it, or is it at all different working with a rapper who also produces a lot like Eminem, or is it, how does that dynamic affect things?
It makes it a lot easier actually, because he's really fun to work with. Because what I do is when me and him work together is he has a little station set up on the cadenza with his drum machine on it and a keyboard, because he likes to make beats too. So I set mine up right next to him. And then every day when I come in the studio, I'll load up some new drum sounds for him. You know what I'm saying? On his machine. And then we'll get in there, we'll start listening to stuff. I'll start playing some keys or playing some guitar, and he'll like something. And then I'll start laying it down. But I like for him to make the beat. You know, I might make something simple just as a just something as a reference, but I like to take it off and then let him remake the beat. Because what he does is he's making, if he starts liking something in the music, he'll start making the beat to what his flow is going to be to it. So it makes it easier for me because he can control that. I can give him the sounds that I want it to sound like. You know what I'm saying? I can give him a group of a set of drum sounds in there, and I'd be like, all right, these are some good drum sounds. Pick something out of this. But I like for him to go in there, and he's gonna do it. He's gonna go in there and make his little drum pattern how he wants over the beat, because he's already writing it. Right when he hears it, he's writing it. So that makes it easier for me as a producer, because as long as he's comfortable with it and he can write to it, then the rest, I can take care of the rest. I'm going to start adding music to it. He'll come in and be like, yo, let's change it right here and make it do this, or add strings right here. And he'll be he's producing it with me. It's not like I'm just producing him.
Yeah, well, that's one of the amazing things about, because I've spent a lot of time with him over the years, with Eminem as well over the years, and just how his mind works and how he writes his rhymes and changes the paper all around. And
it's fucking genius.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's like, honestly, like when you're there, because you're there working, so you're not really capturing the moment because you're doing something. But just when I think back at it, I said, man, I sat right next to him and watched him write shit like that, and it's like, it's magical, really.
So what, because a lot of people may or may not understand that, you might work on 10 songs and one of them comes out, maybe.
Yes.
So what do you remember specifically about Framed in particular, that session or working on that really sticks out, that made that a special record?
I just remember laughing my ass off because we had did a song earlier that day, and we spent the whole day putting sound effects, because he likes to go in there and put sound effects. You know what I'm saying? It's like subliminal. You might not really hear it, but if you go back and listen to his songs, you'll hear like random sound effects when he says something to go along with his rap. So we were doing that, and then when he started doing the Frame, it was just like we were just in there busting up laughing because it was so funny, but it was so good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's amazing.
It was like dark, but it's fucking funny as fuck too. Like, and I just remember having a fun ass time when they were recording it with him. We was just me and him always have a blast, man.
Yeah,
yeah.
He's very funny, but he's also, as you know, very intense when he gets in that mood, in that zone. I've seen him like, whoa, it's like it's a different person sometimes. It's kind of crazy.
Hey man, we all have our zone, man.
That is true. Now, that's working with the individual artists, but you've done so many songs where it's been a lot of artists. And of course, Represent That G.C is one of my favorites from Kurupt from back in the day. So how, and now with them out Westmore, how do you find the pros and the cons of having so many artists on a song and having to corral that as a producer?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna let the guy who made the song happen tell you himself. Hold on a second. What happened was, the way that song happened is me and Xzibit used to be roommates together.
I remember your name for your house.
Yeah. So Xzibit was working on his album, and Superfly was working on his album. So I met Superfly, and I was such a fan of his work. I gave him a CD with some beat with like 20 beats on it. Mm-hmm. And he called me like a week later and was playing me some shit over the phone. He's like, "Hey, I want you to hear this beat that I just did." So I was like, "All right." So he starts playing this beat, and he's like, I'm like, "Man, that sounds like my beat." He's like, "Yeah, that is your beat. Come bring that shit down here to the studio." Hey, this is Soren Baker. You know Soren Baker? We're doing an interview. He's asking me about Represent That G.C. and how it came about. I said, Superfly is the one that hooked it up. I gave him the CD, and he took it down there to the studio. And then when I went down there, he was like, "Come down here to the studio," and everybody was in there recording to it.
Yeah, that was a amazing song and great stuff he did on there.
Yeah, so he's the one that organized that. It was just happened. He pulled the beat out and was like, "Yo, you guys need to rap on this shit."
Right.
So when I got there, they was all in there writing to it. Snoop, Trady, J.O., they were all in there writing to it. Kurupt, and then Battle Cat, had his setup in the back of the room, and he had a talk box with a mic, and so he did that live in the room. He did that Represent That Long Beach. Like we was all in there partying. If you really listen to it, you could hear everybody partying in the background when we did that. And then in the beginning, when he's talking, "Oh yeah, right now we're going to Enema and all that." He just did that in the room while we were sitting there recording. Everybody in the room is screaming back at him. So it was like that record was like a real fun party vibe when we did that. And that was like my first session with them.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Because the Streets is a Mother album to me is excellent, but the thing that amazes me about it is it's so hard, but it sounds so fun at the same time. So yeah. How even with Who Ride With Us, how are you guys, do you think, able to balance that gangster but also sounding so fun at the same time?
It was just their writing, Daz and Kurupt, the way they wrote the record. You know, if you look at their previous records, their records were gangster but fun too. Let's Play House, and you know, all those records were gangster and fun and funky. So it was just like, I mean, that funk sound of that beat, like those guys can never go wrong over that. It's just Who Ride With Us has two meanings, you know what I mean? It's a double entendre.
Right.
So it just worked. It was, you know, that was Superfly. He picked that beat too.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And then with Kurupt, man, the Space Boogie Smoke Odyssey to me is a very masterful album on many levels. But that one is not as fun sounding, generally speaking. It's much harder. So do you remember strategically or sonically what you and Kurupt talked about to shift the sound, the sonics of it?
Well, Kurupt on that record, he made me the executive producer. So he let me get all the beats. I mean, I could have produced, he wanted me to produce the whole record, but I didn't want to produce the whole record. I wanted to have a couple other featured producers on there because I had already had some beats from a couple of producers and I was like, this will fit this project. You know what I'm saying? So he kind of just let me run it and put the whole thing together. And I kind of wanted to make a more hardcore hip hop gangster rap record. I don't want to say a gangster rap record, but a hard gangster Kurupt record. You know what I mean? The other one had a lot of fun songs in it, but I wanted it to be a little darker. If that makes any sense. There's only one song on that record that wasn't supposed to be on that, and that's It's Over. It's Over. If you listen to that, the whole album, that record has no place on that album.
Right.
And what happened was the record company was trying to make a pop hip hop record with Kurupt, and they were trying to go off his new relationship with Natina from I forgot the name of the group that she was in. And so they were trying to put that record on there. And I was like, that record ain't coming on this record. It makes no sense. We got a lot of gangster records. That shit's corny as fuck to me. You know what I'm saying? I ain't putting it on this record. And I had the final say. I'm the executive producer. So they were like, all right, just turn in the record. Because I wasn't going to turn in the record. I was like, you ain't putting that record on my album, you know? So I turned in the record, got it mastered, did the artwork. And then at the end, when the record came out, I went to the store and bought it. The artwork wasn't the same artwork. The artwork is Kurupt standing on the front like this with a chandelier behind him. That's not the artwork. The artwork was Joe Cool did a big painting. I have like a low res version of it on my computer, but I might share it with you. But Joe Cool did like a cover, like Doggy style cover, but it was Space Boogie. It was like all outer space shit with the fucking with the aliens, and it's dope as fuck. It was like a Parliament / Joe Cool dope ass Space Boogie album cover. So that the album cover was different, and then I went on this. When I'm put the CD in and I'm listening to the album, I didn't even look at the credits. I'm just bumping, and all of a sudden that damn song comes on. It's over. I'm like, what the fuck? Oh man, I lost my fucking brains, man. You know what I'm saying? And but besides that, I'm proud of that work. You know.
No, that album, it's amazing, man. I think you did a lot of the record. Obviously, not all of it as discussed, but like. The Hardest Motherfuckers, for instance, is one of my favorite album cuts that you've ever done. That one, oh Thanks. Man, that was amazing. So for you, that one also features MC Ren. So yep. Were you able to be in the studio with him, or
yeah? Back then we didn't have computers and all that stuff. Back then, hey man, you got to come down to Larrabee and record this song with us. You know.
So. I know Ren, and he can tend to be reclusive sometimes. How did you guys get him to be on the song?
We had just done the Up in Smoke tour.
Okay.
And we were with each other every day. We just became great friends. And so when we started working on that, we asked him to come to the studio, and he was like, yeah. I'm like, yo, come, man, you got to come get on a song with me, Ren. And he liked my beats. He heard my other shit that I did with Kurupt. He liked calling out names. He was like, calling out names next to No Vaseline is the hardest diss record I ever heard. He told me that. I was dope as fuck. And he told it to Cube one day on the Up in Smoke tour. He was like, and Cube was like, yeah, that shit was hard as fuck. So me and him were cool. And then so I was like, Ren, I want you to really, man, could you come down and get on Kurupt's album? So he came down and he blessed us. And then like, so when the tape started, and he's like, yo, FredWreck, turn this motherfucker up so it can fuck with my eardrums a little bit. And then the beat just came in. It was like, it was over.
Yeah.
MC Ren in NWA in the beginning was my favorite, more than Ice Cube, because something about his voice was dope as fuck. And then later on, like Ice Cube became my favorite, you know what I'm saying? But in the beginning, MC Ren is like, I liked him more than Ice Cube at first.
Yeah, me too. I mean, he was
hard. His voice was hard. His voice is so dope. Cube's voice is crazy too, but it was just, I don't know. So it was like an honor to be able to let him come down there and get on that record with us. And then Nate was there too. So I'm like, you know what? And I was like, yo, you want to come get on the record with Kurupt and Nate? And he's like, yeah, hell yeah, I'll be down there. All right, cool.
Be sure to check out the History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
There will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
With Fab 5 on Yo MTV Raps with NWA.
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.